Last season, in a September game between the Minnesota Twins and New York Mets, Twins starting pitcher Pablo Lopez had an incredible game. He pitched 8 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out a crazy high 14 batters. Those 14 strikeouts set a new career high, and Lopez became the first Twin in over a decade to strike out that many batters in a single game. His game score of 92 was not only the highest by a Minnesota pitcher since 2017, it's just the 6th occurrence of a Twins pitcher achieving a mark that high in the 21st century. Safe to say, it's one of the greatest pitching performances by a Minnesota Twin in the past 25 years. For those unfamiliar with it, game score is a stat that measures how good a starting pitcher was. To quote MLB.com, game score measures a pitcher's performance in any given game started. It's presented as a figure between 0 to 100, except for extreme outliers, and usually falls between 40 to 70. All you need to know is, the higher the number, the better performance the starting pitcher had. To put in perspective how impressive and rare a mark of 92 is, there were only 2 instances of a pitcher achieving a higher one in 2023, and both of them were no-hitters, with one being a perfect game. Statistically, this was one of the greatest pitched games in 2023, but why exactly is it noteworthy? Well, despite how dominant Pablo Lopez was, Minnesota lost the game. New York starting pitcher Tyler McGill threw 5 shutout innings, and the bullpen kept the game scoreless. In the 9th, with Lopez out of the game, relief pitcher Griffin Jax allowed a 2-run double to DJ Stewart, and the Mets won 2-0. Among all non-extra inning games throughout MLB history, Lopez's game score of 92 is tied for the 2nd highest by a pitcher in which his team lost. Seriously, it's one of the greatest pitching performances ever for that pitcher's team to not win. However, it is only the 2nd highest game score by a pitcher that ended in a team loss. There is one game that outclasses it. Before getting to that game, the reason why I said non-extra innings is because there have been several games in the past where the starter has a highly skewed game score due to throwing well over 9 innings. Sure, it's fun to see how Art Neff of the 1918 Boston Braves had a game score of 118 and took the loss, but his 21 innings pitched is the reason his game score is immensely high. We want to look at an equal playing field here. So, what 9-inning game features the highest game score where the pitcher's team took the loss? The game occurred on October 2nd, 2012 between the Baltimore Orioles and Tampa Bay Rays. For what it's worth, this game was highly important for the Orioles. With just 2 games left in the regular season, Baltimore entered this day just 1 game back of the New York Yankees for first place in the AL East, and they were tied with the Oakland Athletics for the top seed in the wild card. For obvious reasons, an absolutely crucial game for them. On the other hand, this game meant nothing to the Tampa Bay Rays. In spite of a terrific 89-71 record, they were eliminated from postseason contention, being 3 games out with only 2 to play. Despite having nothing to play for, Rays starting pitcher James Shields was about to have the game of his life. He started the first inning by striking out the leadoff hitter Nate McLouth and finished it by striking out Chris Davis for a 1-2-3 inning. He kept up his pace by striking out Adam Jones in the 2nd and Mark Reynolds in the 3rd for 3 perfect innings. On the flip side, his opponent Miguel Gonzalez was just as good for Baltimore so far. He struck out the side in the bottom of the 1st inning, threw a scoreless 2nd, and got Desmond Jennings caught looking to end a 1-2-3 3rd inning. No score after 3. Shields led off the 4th by striking out Nate McLouth for the 2nd time, and then induced a fly ball by J.J. Hardy in the next at-bat for 2 quick outs. Still looking for their first base runner, Baltimore right fielder Chris Davis came to the plate. Davis was one of the top Orioles hitters that season, leading the team in home runs and RBIs while being 3rd in OPS. Including his first inning at-bat, Davis was 3 for 10 in his career against Shields, with 2 extra base hits and 4 RBIs. He would continue that success here.
And a high shot deep to center, way back up and looking up, and that one is out of here.
His 33rd home run of the year, and the Orioles jumped out to a 1-0 lead. Shields settled in after that home run, as in the following at-bat, he got Adam Jones to fly out to end the 4th. When I say that home run was it for Baltimore, I really mean that was all they could manage off Shields. In the next inning, Shields struck out 2 batters for 7 total through 5. In the 6th, Manny Machado struck out in another scoreless inning, and in the 7th, Chris Davis was caught looking, Adam Jones struck out, as did Matt Wieters for 11 Ks through 7 strong innings. In the 8th, Shields kept up his brilliance, starting the frame with strikeouts of Jim Thome and Mark Reynolds for 13 on the day. In the 9th, after Machado flew out, Nate McLouth struck out for the 3rd time this game, and the next batter, J.J. Hardy, was caught looking for the final out. James Shields' final line of the day: 9 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 1 run, and a career-best 15 strikeouts. Not only was that 15 strikeout performance a personal best, it set a Tampa Bay record. Through 2023, no one has surpassed that amount, and only once has a Rays pitcher tied it. Also to point out, other than the home run, the only other Baltimore hit was a slowly hit infield single that was beaten out by a speedy Nate McLouth. In addition to his pitching line, Shields earned a game score of 94. In his long career, this 94 game score is also a personal best, just barely eclipsing his previous high of 93. To put in perspective how amazing this performance was, there were 9 games in 2012 with a higher game score, and all 9 were either no-hitters, perfect games, or 1-hit shutouts. One of the greatest performances in 2012 and the best of Shields' career, and the Rays lost 1-0. Baltimore starting pitcher Miguel Gonzalez threw 6 1/3 shutout innings while striking out 7 batters himself. Brian Mattis picked up the final 2 outs of the 7th, while Darren O'Day pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning. Jim Johnson came in for the save against Tampa Bay, and while he did allow a base runner, he induced a flyout and ground out to end the game. The Rays themselves only managed 2 hits, but also walked 3 times for 5 total base runners. They managed to get a runner into scoring position in both the 4th and 6th innings, but Gonzalez pitched around them both times. Something I find interesting about this game is that Shields ended up taking the loss. Pablo Lopez may have nearly been just as good, but at least he took a no decision. Along with being the record for the team to lose, Shields' 94 game score is also the all-time record for the starting pitcher to take the loss. The second highest game score a pitcher had in a non-extra innings game in which he took the loss is 92 by Ken Johnson of the 1964 Houston Colt 45s. In the 11th season since Shields' game, the highest game score by a pitcher to take the loss is 87 by John Gray of the 2023 Texas Rangers. Also, in case anyone was wondering, despite winning this game, the Orioles finished second in both the AL East and the wild card, so this win didn't matter for them in the end. Something else that's also notable about this game is the fact that it was the last game Shields ever played as a Tampa Bay Ray. He spent 7 seasons with the club, pitching in over 200 games, and this was his final moment as a Ray. Funny how things like that happen. At the end of the 2012 season, in what would be a meaningless game between the Baltimore Orioles and Tampa Bay Rays, Tampa Bay starting pitcher James Shields made history. He started over 400 games across his 13-year career, and while this was the best start of them all, he was on the losing side. Looking at game score, it's the greatest 9-inning performance in MLB history a pitcher ever had, only for him and his team to take the loss.